Hello, and welcome to Secrets from Athletes, where we dive into what makes a top athlete and how you can apply their routines and mindsets to your own life. I'm your host, Andre Scholl, and today with me I have Fairfax High School head girls lacrosse coach, Jimmy Conklin. How are you doing today, Jimmy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being on. Any plans for Thanksgiving?
Oh, we got a big bingo show on Wednesday. I don't know if I'll
Alright.
have any guests that I recognize coming, but family and friends, just getting together. How about you?
We're having some people over. I think this is my family's 15th year of hosting, so that's kind of just become a
Wow,
tradition. Yeah.
nice.
All right, shall we get started?
I'm ready for you.
All right. How did you get into coaching in lacrosse, and what made you stick with it?
So I actually started out with football, and from football I learned from a really good coach who kind of helped me become organized as a young coach. But it's funny how I got into girls lacrosse because I was starting out at one school in Kentucky. I moved on to a new school. When that school hired me as a teacher, they asked me to coach at that school and wanted to start me out slow. And then I asked to be a assistant goalies coach. And then there were some girls in the school that had come up to the athletic director and said they wanted to start a girls lacrosse team. And the athletic director asked me if I wanted to be the head coach. I said no. And then I told him if he could only find a parent to coach, that I would reconsider. And he told me that he knew I was going to be the head coach after that. So kind of funny story how I got into it.
Yeah. So when you mean like a parent to coach, you'd be like an assistant coach, and the parent would be the head coach, or like what's that mean?
Oh, I meant by that, I wanted to be the head coach, not be a parent of the team, just because sometimes when there's parents of the team, especially when it's a new program, you kind of get worried about a biased opinion. So I felt like as a
Hmm.
young coach, I was like, I'm going to come in and I would teach them in a non-biased approach. Everybody's new, but everybody has a chance to make the team or progress as a star athlete or wherever they are at the time. So that's kind of what I mean by that. I didn't want parents to be involved in the beginning.
Okay. All right, I
Hmm.
get that. Hey, you started,
Hmm.
I think, what's a great program and something I think you're having a lot of fun doing, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I would never go back to the boys' game just because the way I've been coaching the girls and how I know the game now, the game's different, and it would be kind of hard to get back to the boys' game. So that's why I enjoy. I think I found my niche with the girls, so I wouldn't change where I'm at. It's crazy how I ended up there, but happy with where I'm at.
Yeah. So I don't know much about lacrosse. When you say the game is different, like how is it different between a boys' team and a girls' team?
So the girls' field is a little longer, and within that, there are more players on the field in a girls' game than a boys' game. So it's crazy, but when I was coaching boys at first, it's six players, 6 on 6, versus girls, it's 7 on 7. And you wouldn't think it's that much of a difference, but when you add one more player onto the field, it makes it harder. It's like it's tighter. There's more people to have to get around or have to cut around. Also, the dimensions of the field are different. Girls have what's called an 8-meter arc. It has a 12-meter arc, but they both share a crease. The crease circle is where the goalie stands in, but the girls' game has some different rules because the equipment is different. Boys have, shoulder pads and helmets. Girls aren't required any of that. Goggles are the only protection that go around the head, and then there's nothing on the body. So the rules are a little bit different to ensure that a girl wouldn't take like a shot to the chest or the face. Whereas if a boy were to shoot it and it hit a boy, there's a better chance it would hit their shoulder pads or their chest protector or their helmet. So there's a lot of safety rules that make the game a little bit different than the boys' game too.
That's really interesting. I did not know that.
Hmm.
That sounds like, I mean, if I ever wanted to get into lacrosse, great advice is to get myself a good pair of shoulder pads.
Hey, there you go. A lot more contact for sure.
Now, and on the topic of advice, what's the best piece of advice someone has given you? It can be related to sport or just in general.
I really think the best piece of advice I got as a coach would be take the off season to recharge, but also take the off season to, the off season isn't only for the kids to progress on whatever athletic skill they needed or whatever skill related to the game. But it's also important for coaches to take that time to reflect, to adapt, and to continue to learn the game. I'm big into collaboration. So, sometimes it's not from me to the other person, but I love listening to somebody else's input or ideas and trying to see how I can take what they gave me and either add on to what I have or just change to what I have. So I have learned to never think that I know everything because I know I don't know everything. I'm not going to be greedy or have a high head where I think that my stuff is the only stuff that works. But we all have to adapt every year, or you just become predictable. And I think your team doesn't respect somebody that's also not putting in the work to get better if they're putting in the work in the off season as well. So that piece of advice has really stuck out with me to make sure I don't get complacent in my coaching skills, as well as I don't want my girls to get complacent in their where they currently are.
I completely agree as an athlete myself for rowing, even though it's a different thing. When I see like that the coach is also putting in effort to get better, I feel like those are really the like best teams where both the coach and the athlete are putting in as much effort as possible to try to achieve that next level.
No, I agree.
Since we're on the topic of advice, what's one of the best pieces of advice you could give to athletes and high schoolers in general?
I like that you asked this question because I like the high schoolers in general part. My life has like progressed in very many ways where um, my health, I think, is the number one priority. I think about a lot more than what I used to not think about. So I wouldn't care to get hurt. I play through, and I think a lot of younger athletes in high schoolers probably think that way too. And I think the best piece of advice I have is it's never too early or too late to really focus on your health. And when it comes to athletes in high school, a lot of times the goal is just to get to become the best player you want to be, or the best player that can get recruited for a college or make the starting lineup of a team, whatever it is. But I do think it's always important to really focus on your health, and sometimes that's mental and physical health. So I am really big into yoga nowadays, and I think the biggest thing for me for yoga is it helps me focus on stretching and flexibility, which is something as an athlete I've always been like muscle building and cardio. How can I get stronger? How can I get faster? But the best availability is to be able to play is to be available, right? So if I'm hurt all the time because I'm not focusing on stretching out my body, or if I'm very hard on myself and I let the mental aspect of the game affect the way I play, because if I mess up, I shut down. Um, I need to focus on ways where my mental health and my emotional health, maybe in the off season, are something that I'm really focusing on. So therefore, in the game situation, I know what I can do to get better at that. And that might sound cliche and stuff like that, but I think mental. Sometimes I've seen the best athletes, but mentally they're so hard on themselves, and it just makes them become a top tier player to an average player because they're out of the game once something bad happens. They take themselves out of the game. So my advice is just really focus on your health, focus on your mental health, relax, take time off, stretch out, um, and really decompress to make yourself healthy in the long run. So.
I feel like sometimes having that vision of the long term and realizing that when you're doing what the short term is very important. You mentioned mental health. That's a side of sport that's become more and more like researched and looked into recently. Uh, what are some of your tips for like helping preserve that good mental health during the game and in the off season?
Yeah, I think this is the question that every coach is trying to figure out the best way to do it, because it's situational depending on your team. I think to answer your question, my biggest thing is I have to know my team. I am lucky enough to be in the building with my girls, so I can see kind of what's going on during the day. And I think sometimes those coaches that are out of the building, they miss out on there could be some kind of drama that they're going through, or they could have had three tests that day and just actually need time to vent that out for a minute. But I think if you know your team, I always reflect back on my early days of a coach where I had a girl that was really hard on herself and her dad was really hard on her too. So all I could think about is I could yell at her for messing up, or I could correct her intently as the game's going on because it's an intense game, but she gets that all the time. So she needs something different. And what she needs different is like, hey, I know you got my back, I got your back. I know you're gonna make up for it, or hey, like you're any even if it was something really good, like hey, I'm proud of you. Sometimes like athletes need to hear that somebody's proud of them because not only are they their biggest critic, but sometimes they have, a parent figure that sometimes may also be wanting them to be the best player that they can be, and so they're a critic on them too. So I think sometimes it's just important, especially on I've noticed it on the female side a lot, and I'm sure males are the same way as well. But I think encouragement goes a long way. I would describe myself more as a player's coach, but I'm also a coach that's going to push players to be the best. And I've really learned that sometimes when you push too hard, you got to find your balance, right? There's got to be the balance of making sure you don't lose somebody because you're doing what they're used to hearing all the time, and that makes them shut down. So, as much as I can, I learn sometimes the best thing to tell players in terms of mental health is I'm proud of you, man. Like what you did out there was very impressive. Like that's a good team, or that was a great play. Like I know you're upset about the other two things, but did you see when you did this? That was really good. So,
It's,
encouragement.
that's absolutely what I've been like looking into because as an athlete myself, that inner critic, that's really the rough part. But it's also finding that either external or internal person saying, "I'm proud of you for what you did." Even for the mistakes that have happened, that happens. Have the memory of a goldfish. That's one quote I know, which is like, "Moment happened. Okay, you messed up. That's fine. Move on."
That's the hardest thing for some people to they hear it and they try to live by it, but to actually go live that style is very hard for somebody. And sometimes I know I'm paid to be a coach, but I also feel like I'm paid to be their biggest cheerleader at times too, and that's supposed to be positive and a positive thing. So
And building that positivity, it takes it like the consistency and making it a habit. I think that's what I believe. And since we're on the topic of habits, if you had to recommend one daily habit for athletes, what would that be?
so that's kind of going back to what we were reflecting on earlier. I think it's mentally recharging. One of your questions, and I don't know if we've kind of gone over it, we skipped through it, is I think one of the most important things, and you tell me if I'm messing this up by answering one of your questions before you asked me, but one of the most
No
important
worries, you're
things
beating
I
me to it.
think
That's great.
I think one of the most important things for an athlete to become, I believe the question is something from like good to like an elite athlete,
Yeah, what
is
separates the good
the,
athletes from the great ones in general? That's
yeah.
what the quote is.
From what I've noticed, and I don't know if I would have answered this without actually seeing it before, but some of my best athletes that I've seen in my sport, uh, their greatest gift is they are so technically smart with the game. Their IQ of the game is what makes them so much better. It doesn't have to mean that they are the most skillful with their stick skills or with their speed. It doesn't mean football I have to be the biggest, I have to be the fastest, but if I know the game well enough where I can put myself in a position or I understand like it's a fast break and there's three of us and only two of them, and I know exactly where to stand to put myself in the right position versus somebody that's just running straight down the field because they're used to being the fastest person. That is the biggest thing that makes an elite athlete the top level is how much they understand the game and their IQ of the sport in my perspective. So going back to the previous question is what's one thing daily habit I would challenge an athlete to do is I would challenge an athlete to really look into the IQ of their sport and the game of their knowledge of their sport, and if there's things and situations that they don't understand, either write down a question to ask a coach or look up on your own some person that does it really well, whether it's like a college player or whether it's a professional athlete. But if you can dominate the and understand all the nuances of your game, and whether it's rules that you can kind of figure out how to put yourself in a better position, or spaces on the field or situations on the field, I really think that makes you as good as you can be. So I would challenge an athlete to really dig into their game. Like, what is something that I can learn um, just by either reading up or watching what somebody else does. Watch other games on TV, whatever your sport is, or read up about what a player or coach. People post drills all the time. Find a drill and imagine yourself doing that, and or prepare yourself to do that next time you go out on the field by yourself. So just learn, keep learning the game. Spend time learning about the game.
I feel like that's also kind of a thing for life in general. Is it's a constant learning process. There we go. My camera became unblurry. I was doing some technical stuff behind the scenes for that. But I feel like that's with anything in life. It's constantly learning because perfection is unattainable, but still trying to achieve
Hmm.
it, you get as close as possible and you learn so much more. Like one
No,
quote
yeah,
I
and I
know,
saw that. Go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say to that part of the question did ask like in life in general, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head. Like, I'm going to want to learn something new every day. If I own a house, I need to learn how to be a handyman and how to like fix a problem that I don't know if I don't know it, right? I can't just always call somebody to come fix something for me. So, day-to-day life, it's just I think it's something to always challenge your mind. Our mind is so precious, and some people don't have the ability to use it as effectively as they used to. So don't take it for granted one day, right?
Yeah. I feel like there's this quote actually that from soccer where it's the game is won not with your feet, but with your head. So exactly what you're saying, knowing those little things, which is there's what like Kobe Bryant, for example, one of the greatest of all times, he would do the same thing over and over until he couldn't get it wrong, and that's that mastering of the game and the having the IQ to know what to do.
Hmm. And that's a guy
So,
who mastered
yeah,
his sport.
yeah, may
Hmm.
you rest in peace. So, all athletes I feel go through some sort of challenge in their sport. What's the biggest challenge you personally faced in sport, or that your team faced, and how did you push through it?
Well, I think personally it was me in my beginning understanding that I was coaching a girls' sport when I used to coach the boys' sports. So just kind of understanding and learning my athletes was like a huge challenge. But I think the biggest challenge I started to learn besides that, as I got used to as a coach, is like just don't let yourself get too caught up in moments, and like games happen so quickly that if I focus like we talked with a lot of this conversation has been about athletes with forgetting about goldfish memory, forgetting about the mistakes they made. Well, if I get too caught up in a bad call by an official, or a bad play that I ran or something like that. I have tended to, in the past, get caught up in that bad call. And it's not like I'm thinking about this for a minute, but if I've learned if I've spent 5 to 10 seconds like focusing on that and the game's going on, there's a lot that can happen in 5 to 10 seconds, and there's a lot of things that I miss, and then I don't know how to correct my players on the things I missed. So I think that challenge of also like not egging my own team on to be like that was a bad call, like and starting to talk to the like that stuff can't happen. So I have to set the tone of like maybe I acknowledge what happened, but I'm not gonna let that impact my coaching like in after that moment. If that's like a 1 to 2 second thing, it's a 1 2 second thing. And if I have more to talk to the ref about or something like that, I will do that in a private manner when it's appropriate versus like yelling at the official with all my girls on the sidelines seeing what I'm doing, and then encourage them to also continue the banter behind me. So that was something that I did struggle with, especially as a young coach. I'm so competitive, and I think that's the biggest thing is we're all competitive, and that's like one of the driving reasons we do these things. We play a sport or we coach a sport, but we got to learn to use that competitive mindset in the appropriate times in the appropriate manner.
I feel like along with what makes the great athletes great and what makes great coaches great is exactly what you're saying, being present in that moment, understanding like you can really only control like your response, what you do. So like of course you could go later and talk to the ref, but it's setting that example because like you were saying, you are that example figure for your players.
Hmm.
So now on to one of the more funnier questions I have. This one I always like to do is what's the funniest story or superstition you have from sports?
So I have one that I have done for a while, and then I have one that I started last year. So I'll tell you the one I've been doing for a while, and it is when I win a game, I will wear the same outfit from the previous game. So I try to make sure also that it doesn't smell too much, but I will wear it if we are on, or I will wash it if we are on a longer winning streak. But I like to keep the same outfit on, superstition in terms of that. And one of my newer superstitions is I was telling you about like controlling when what like when I feel stressed out about the game, or like if a referee has a bad. One of my new things is I'll start chewing Big League Chew. It was I didn't I did I had that bubble gum when I was a little baseball player kid, and it's just like meant for little kids because it's just like bubble gum and it comes in shreds. And so now I start to chew Big League Chew before every game, at halftime, during the game, new piece, and then if I need another one in the fourth quarter if it's an intense game. So it's wearing the same clothes in a winning streak, and it's Big League Chew in stressful situations.
Those are honestly really cool because I feel like part of what the brain does is when it's something known. So like in this case, the big league chew and the same outfit. It's like okay, this is a like I guess a safe area, and we can focus more on the game and all that stuff. So it kind of sets that positive remembrance from like the past experiences and keeping that going forward.
Hmm.
All right. Now time for the blitz questions. These are just shorter, fun questions. They aren't necessarily related to sports. So let's get into them. What is your
Okay.
favorite season of the year?
Oh, always the summer.
Summer.
Hmm.
All right. Like hanging outside in the nice weather, maybe
Oh,
going to
you
a
want me
pool.
to? Okay, I didn't know if you want me to
No,
elaborate. Yeah,
you're
I
good.
love
You're good.
this summer because I'm a water guy. My wife has a lake house, so now I've learned to wake surf. So I surf a
Ooh.
little bit. I've always grown up, my biggest vacation was going to the beach. 4th of July is a really fun holiday, and I just do not like it when it gets dark outside early. And I feel like the summer, the sun is out the longest, so that's
Yeah.
nice.
This getting dark at like 6 p.m. It's like why? Why?
Yeah.
There's no need. All
Ugh.
right. What is your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV show is The Office.
The Office. All
I
right.
can watch that like it can be a background show, or it can be something that I will rewatch over and over again, but that's probably been my number one favorite show.
I've heard good things about it. I still need to watch it myself, so
You should
it's
try.
on
It's
the
comedy,
list.
just pure comedy.
All right. What is your favorite food? Like favorite meal ever?
Mm. So I have like a tie for my two favorite foods in one restaurant that is no longer in Fairfax. It used to be in Camp Washington, called Pizzarama. Shout out Pizzarama if you're listening. Come back to Fairfax. But it was a pizza that was a taco pizza. So it had ground beef, tomato, lettuce, shredded cheese, little pizza, or sorry, the taco seasoning sauce on it. And I love tacos and I love pizza. So when the two of them combined, taco pizza was my favorite. I also
You got me
love
hungry
breakfast
now. They
food.
got to come back to Fairfax. I want that
They
pizza.
do.
Who is your favorite music artist
Currently,
currently?
so I have kind of switched my genre of music. My favorite band that I listen to, and this is a group that it's probably the most I've seen in concert. They're called the Avett Brothers. So it's kind of folky music that has a little bit of bluegrass because they play the banjo. So I've really grown up listening to them a lot. My favorite before that, and uh, this is more like my getting hyped up kind of music. Is I grew up an Eminem fan, so I know not all of his songs are appropriate for maybe this show, but
It's
I
fine. I
enjoy
listen to
that
them.
too.
I think there's some good songs. So,
Yeah, okay.
what is your favorite animal?
My favorite animal is dog because I've loved owning a dog and man's best friend, and they do anything for you. My favorite zoo animal, though, if I'm gonna go kind of unique, is polar bear. I think
Polar
polar
bear.
bear is
Ooh.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
White, big, just puffy animal that also swims and just will come up to the little glass screen and be right in your face. Um, I like polar bear. They're pretty tough.
Yeah, they'd be a freak athlete if you could have them playing sports that fast, that big, not stopping them.
No, 100%.
Now, if you had to play any sport professionally, so like you're at the top level for any sport, what would it be?
This is an easy answer for me because, well, actually, ooh, the one that's most realistic or just any.
Any.
Okay, I would probably go golf, because golf they make a lot. Like if you're really good, you make like Scotty uh, has made a lot of money, and Scotty Scheffler, and it's pretty cool. It's like you train, and then like winter months, I'm sure it goes down a little bit, but basically you're just going out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, playing your sport with a bunch of people cheering you on outside. They always travel to nice weather places unless they go over to, Europe. Sometimes it's cold or rainy over there, but most of the time, nice weather everywhere you go. Um, but second place, a close second place is cornhole, professional
Cornhole.
cornhole. Not as
Okay.
much money, but I love playing cornhole, so that would be the most realistic one for me.
Okay. I like it. I like those sports. All right. Now, if you had to coach another sport other than lacrosse, what sport would that be? And
So
this
I
is
used to
also at like
coach.
the highest level, however you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it'd probably definitely be football. Football is what I watch all the time. I used to coach it. Um, a sport that I've never coached that I would like to do. Um, that's a good question because I was gonna say golf, but then like highest level professional golfers don't really. I mean, they have singular coaches. I want a team sport, so I'll just stick with football.
Okay.
Football is so the camaraderie is there and the passion is there, and if it's like a full-time coaching gig, like it is respect to all football coaches because there's a lot that goes into it. So
I'm guessing you'd want to be the 49ers coach from all the 49ers merch?
I maybe, and there's Mia Hamm right there
Yeah.
too. So. Yeah, I that would be a dream job. More on, I'd like to be on the general manager, the guy that helps pick who goes on the roster
Hmm.
versus
So like
the
the
coach.
draft guy, the free agent guy,
Yeah.
like the
Oh
general
yeah.
manager.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
nice. That always does seem kind of so fun because it's like, yeah, I'm the one who got us this star player on our team. I'm the reason we won all these rings because I got him on.
Yeah, they got a comfortable view for the actual games versus being on the actual field for those. So
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you to you
happy
all for tuning in
Thanksgiving.
to Secrets from Athletes. Make sure to follow on Instagram at secrets underscore from underscore athletes. We also have YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And we'll be back with more secrets from athletes to help you refine your mindsets and routines.